Hey, welcome back to the show. We're keeping it real. Goes right. Welcome back to Real Take Sports Talk live here on YouTube. Hopefully, everyone can hear me okay. Solo show today, but we're going to get through it. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Tom Brady calling out an NFL team. I was going to be breaking down some of the news and notes and big stories in the Western and Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA. Lots more to talk about. Real Take, Cubs talk, and a lot more news from Chicago, apparently. Big news day from Chicago, or news week, I should say. Either way, it's going to be great. We're going to be talking all about it. And before we get to any of that, though, guys, remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And we're going to start this week talking about what we were talking about on Tuesday, and that was the NBA draft lottery. The NBA draft lottery has come and gone, and it has been revealed that the Detroit Pistons, yes, the bad boy Detroit Pistons, will hold the number one pick in the 2021 NBA draft. So a lot of people, they guessed that, the Pistons, the Rockets, they were the favorite to get this pick. But I didn't hear a lot of talk going into the lottery about, the Pistons, and it was weird because they had an equal chance with the Rockets to get that number one pick. Regardless, they got it. And now the question is, who are they going to pick? And if you really ask anyone who knows anything about the NBA, that's not really a question. You're going to pick Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is the consensus number one pick. He is this player out of Oklahoma State. The dude has a 7-foot wingspan. He's an athletic freak of nature. A lot of people, they like to, they think he is this next big breakout star, and I think he has a lot of potential to do that. One thing, though, that I think that should temper expectations for someone like Cade Cunningham, and again, this is not a knock on him per se, but is he the type of, like transcendental star like a Zion Williamson? Is he the type of star like, LeBron that's going to come in and change the franchise immediately in that way? If that's your expectation and you're a Detroit Pistons fan, you should temper that. Because there are very few differences between the way he plays ball and the way that some of those players have played in the past. Cunningham, he does a lot of things great. He can score. He's got good ball vision. The dude can get boards off the rebound. Like, he can do a lot of good stuff. Some of the places where he lacks is stuff like, getting past defenders in the paint. There's stuff like, just questions about his strength and, his ability to really get past these tougher defenders in the league. And, he's going to be tested. That's the one thing we need to remember. He's going to be tested when he gets to the NBA. Is he going to be able to do the same productivity, have the same level of success in the NBA on a pro level? And that's a big question for a lot of people. That's a big question for not just Cunningham. That's a big question for a lot of these guys that are in this draft. But if you're going to ask me who Detroit should pick, they have to pick Cunningham. He's the best player. Regardless of all of those things that I just mentioned, I just said that to temper expectations. He's the best player, and he has the ability to be a superstar. Yes, a superstar in this league. The only thing that can stop him, I think, is not only just him. Like, obviously, it's a given. Any player can stop themselves from achieving their potential as far as amount of success. But the other thing that I think can stop him and, is his biggest hurdle is the fact that he is going to Detroit. And we know all the talk about, Ben Wallace, he's more involved now. We know they're trying to change things a little bit. But you look at what Detroit's done over the past just 10 years. They haven't been able to get any amount of real success. Whether they had Derrick Rose, whether they had Blake Griffin. And Blake Griffin just kind of proved it. Blake Griffin quit on that team and forced his way out to go to Brooklyn because he knew that team wasn't going anywhere. And there was really no potential for that team. And he didn't see the vision. He didn't see the vision to fix it. That's the problem I see with Detroit. They can bring in Cade Cunningham, and Cade Cunningham can come in, win Rookie of the Year, do amazing things for this franchise. But if the vision isn't there from a front office, from the head coach, all the way down to the players, if the vision isn't there, agreed upon, and, in many ways, just, fulfilled and like inspirational enough for the players, they're not going to buy into it, and the team's not going to be good. They can only go so far. You can only go so far. And Detroit has been one of these franchises over the past number of years that has just been inept as far as developing talent, that has just been inept as far as getting the most out of their players. And like I said, they've had players like Blake Griffin, Derrick Rose leaves Detroit. What does he do? He goes in and becomes a sixth man of the year candidate with the Knicks. Averages damn near 19 points. Blake Griffin leaves the Detroit Pistons. What does he do? He goes to the Brooklyn Nets, and he becomes a consequential player in their run this year to the playoffs, and in the playoffs as well. So it hasn't really, part of it has been, they've lacked talent around some of these players, but that doesn't mean that they've lacked talent overall. So they better have a plan. You got this number one pick. It doesn't happen that often, unless you're a Cavs fan like me. It doesn't happen that often. So when it does, you have to be ready for that moment. And if you're not, take it from me, a Cavs fan, if you're not ready for that moment, it's going to be very fleeting. And you don't know how much longer Cade Cunningham is going to be in there. You don't know how much longer he's going to be there. And that's just the truth. That's the reality of the situation, whether we want to admit it or not, whether Detroit fans want to admit it or not. That's the reality. Now, this other thing that I wanted to talk about, excuse me, was this mock draft by Draft Express. So let's pull it up. So sorry about that. Didn't pull that up right. We'll give him a second to work on that. But there was a mock draft by these people called Draft Express. So anyway, okay, we got it. So Draft Express had a mock draft that I want to take a look at real quick. And in the mock, they have the Pistons obviously taking Cade Cunningham, the Rockets taking Jalen Green, Evan Mobley going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll get into that in just a second. The Raptors getting Jalen Suggs, which, if you ask me, would make that team so much better. Jonathan Kuminga going to the Magic, the Thunder taking Scotty Barnes, Davion Mitchell, champion Davion Mitchell going to the Warriors, the City of Champions. Keon Johnson going to the Magic, and for the 9th pick, Franz Wagner going to the Kings. So there was a lot there. Let me just start with the first one. The second one. And that was Jalen Green to the Rockets. And I like that fit. The Rockets, they need someone who can come in, who can score. And look, Jalen Green, whatever we want to say about Jalen Green, he's battle-tested in a little bit. Remember, he bypassed the college route and he went to the G League. And a lot of people, they question that choice of going to the G League. They question that choice of going that route because it's not really something that has been done a lot and, yielded a lot of success. You haven't seen big-time players do it. Jalen Green, if you ask me, is one of the first big-time players and big-time prospects in the NFL, in the NBA draft to do it. And I think this will start a trend because what have we seen recently out of some of these players, right? A lot of them don't want to go to college. And I'm not saying, they don't want to get the education. I'm saying they feel like going to college and going the college basketball route hinders them in many ways. One, they can't get sponsorships for deals, even though a lot of them reach their pinnacle out of high school. And then, some of them peter out and some of them don't wind up being the prospects they once were. So to bypass that, I think the G League could be a good route of doing that and a good way of doing that. And Jalen Green's going to be a big part of this as far as a test run for setting the precedent for players to do it down the line. And if he's successful, I think you're going to see a lot more players, even more, go to the G League or go play in Europe or go play elsewhere in Australia, and maybe try to find success there. Make some money, because we know in sports, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, NHL, whatever, money can be hard to come by, and careers, they're not as long as people think. Average careers, I believe, in most sports are between 3 to 4 years. So it's very fleeting, as I've said before. So I think that's a good way for players, I think, to maximize their potential. That's a good way for them to also learn the game on a little bit of a pro level. The G League players, a lot of these guys have been around. Some of these G League players have been around for a while. And there's a lot to take in. There's a lot to learn from them. And these are NBA level programs that are really, coaching these guys and trying to build these teams. So you get a little bit of experience, obviously not at the same level as, the NBA, but you get a little bit of experience of how the game works on the next level. And I think that is an invaluable asset to some of these players coming out. So Jalen Green to the Rockets, I could see it too, because the Rockets need all the help they can get. John Wall is there for now. We don't know what his future is over there, but you pair him with John Wall, that could lead to some good scoring. John Wall might get some pressure off of him next year if he's able to come back healthy. Take a look at that third pick now. So that third pick, they had Evan Mobley going to the Cleveland Cavaliers, going to my Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's an interesting pick, and it's something that I've talked about. So obviously for me, I'm a Cavs fan. Since LeBron left, obviously I have not had a good team to watch, and that's fine. That's the price we pay, I guess, for that championship, regardless. But the Cavs picking Evan Mobley here, if he's available, like if Jalen Green goes number 2, yeah, you pick Evan Mobley. You pick him. He's the guy. And the reason you do that is because you already have 2 very good young guards. I think Colin Sexton especially came off very well this past season. He's going to be able to do a lot of great things, I think, next year, and hopefully build off that. He provides a lot of scoring. Darius Garland, he took a big step this year, I think, and he was able to get other players involved. You saw he got better passing the ball. He got better with his ball vision, his court vision. So those are things that I think we took away from last year that are good. The one place we're missing talent is, as far as our big men goes, and inside scoring. So I think bringing in Evan Mobley is vastly important to building this young roster. And is it going to be a thing where, oh my God, Evan Mobley is going to make us a playoff contender next year? No. We were being real? No. I'll tell you what will, though. If the Cleveland Cavaliers want to be playoff contenders, I have the strategy. Because there's another guy who's very underrated in this draft that I think could be a big game changer for our franchise. And that's Josh Giddey. This guy out of Australia. He's an Australian kid born in 2002. He played in the NBL. He led them in assists. He scored very efficiently, although it didn't come across that way, because if you look at the stats, it's like 11 points a game. But when he needed to score, he has the ability to score, and he has the ability to score at will. And these are also things he can work on. But regardless, so this kid Josh Giddey, he's got all the tools, the fundamental tools that make a great point guard. Best ball vision and passing of anybody in this draft, period. And he's also got, like I said, the fundamental tools that kind of make up for a lack of athleticism. And we've seen that work out in some players, because at the end of the day, like, you can be as athletic as you want to be. If you don't have the fundamentals, you're not gonna last too long in this league unless you're an athletic freak of nature like a LeBron James, Steph Curry, or of that mold. But Josh Giddey, to me, it could be very consequential to the Cleveland Cavaliers' success. And if you ask me, I would be willing to give up Darius Garland, yes, Darius Garland, to get Josh Giddey somewhere around 15, 14, whoever's picking there, maybe the Warriors or the Pacers rather, over there, or wherever we have to go to get him. Because if our young core moving forward is Josh Giddey, who is best passer in this draft, Colin Sexton, who I think is going to be an explosive scorer in this league for years to come, and then Evan Mobley, who is a franchise center. That is a very, very good core moving forward for the Cavs, much better than they would have right now. So that would be the plan if I was Cleveland. If I'm running the Cavs, which I could probably do a better job than some of these guys who are doing it. But that's what it is. Let's take a final look at some of these. Jalen Suggs to the Raptors. Obviously, the Raptors, they had an off year. They could use all the help they can get. Jalen Suggs would be, I think, a very good piece. He's got some superstar potential there in a few years. That team could be right back in there competing for a championship. The Magic, Jonathan Kuminga. I like Jonathan Kuminga to the Magic. Magic doing anything is good. Scotty Barnes to the Thunder. He's probably going to be great and then want to leave after a few years. Davion Mitchell to the Warriors. Why not? Keon Johnson to the Magic, and Franz Wagner, who I think is a very underrated player, to the Sacramento Kings. Kings could do good things with Franz Wagner, but it all does depend on, obviously, that the vision. I talked about the vision for the franchise. If the franchise doesn't have the vision for the player moving forward, it's not going to be as successful as they want. So, that being said, we're going to move on here. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference Finals. Just give me 1 second. In the meantime, guys, remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. We got daily videos about not just sports, but wrestling as well. Real Take Wrestle Talk on Tuesdays. Sure to check that out. All right. So, let's get into it. Trae Too Young. What a headline, isn't it? Trae Young, all right. The Atlanta Hawks took Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals due mostly to the greatness of Trae Young. Oh, sorry about that. The Atlanta Hawks let me restart that. This is what happens when I don't have a co-host. The Atlanta Hawks took Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals due mostly to the greatness of Trae Young. Young led the game in scoring with 48 points, had 11 assists, 7 rebounds to go along with that. It's also worth to note that Trae Young scored or assisted on 70 of the Hawks' 116 points, which is insane. And the Hawks are up 1-0, and this is a team, a lot of people said, they might beat the Knicks. They might beat, get past the first round, but other than that, we don't really see Trae Young having the support that he needs to get to a finals or really get to even the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, he's in the Eastern Conference Finals. Clint Capella came on good for him this year, and he has gotten some help from his team. This is a young team that is catching a stride right now, and they're catching a team in the Milwaukee Bucks that just went 7 games with arguably the most talented team in the NBA. So they're catching a team that just went 7 games. They also won 7 games, so they're probably a little tired, but that Milwaukee Nets series was very taxing on the Bucks, and you got to think, it's a young team. They got a lot of momentum. They're feeling hot right now. Why couldn't they take the series? And the other question a lot of people ask is, are the Hawks a real threat? They're here. They're up 1-0. They won Game 1. Trae Young is an explosive scorer with great ball vision who can also apparently get rebounds as well. So he's that 5-tool player you want. So why can't they? The only thing that can stop them at this point is Giannis. And we've seen Giannis at this point in the playoffs. There's questions. There's serious questions about whether or not he can go, whether or not he can fulfill that role of being the superstar defender that he is, that many times he is. But when it comes to the playoffs, we see sometimes he falls off a little bit of a cliff. Maybe it's got something to do with conditioning. Maybe it's got something to do with the moment. Maybe it's just something that happens, because that's also a very, very big coincidental possibility. It just happens. Does Giannis have the talent to take care of it? Yeah, he does. But he has to show up for it. And Look, the other thing I wanted to point out, man, this is a Trae Young focused segment. Let me stick on Trae Young. We'll talk about Giannis in just a minute. But Trae Young, 22 years old. 22 years old. He's the only superstar on his team. With this league made up of super teams, you had the Philadelphia 76ers with two alleged stars. We'll talk about one of them in just a minute. We had the Brooklyn Nets, who had like 5 apparent stars: James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Blake Griffin, Kevin Durant. Like, they're not there. You look at the West. Look what's going on at the West. In the West, you got the Lakers, the defending champions, this big super team. They're not there. But Trae Young is, and the Atlanta Hawks are. And you have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge. I know a lot of people want to say, oh, well, they got lucky. They didn't get lucky. Trae Young's been hitting clutch game-winning shots this entire postseason. That's not luck. It's just clutch. So I think we need to get past that. You need to get past these notions of, oh, well, this is just a young team getting lucky. No, this is just a young team having a run. That happens sometimes, guys. That happens sometimes. Sometimes young teams, they have more in the tank. They've got less to lose, and sometimes, man, they're willing to take some risks. And this is a team. They've gambled a lot. But they've gotten this far, and it's also because of talent. Do not say that they don't have talent. These young players have stepped up. Trae Young especially leading this team. He assisted or scored on 70 points in the last game. He's taking over the games. So I don't want to hear anything about, oh, Trae Young can't do it. Or Trae Young's too young. No. We don't say the same thing about like people like Luka. And look, I'm here. I am arguably the biggest Luka Doncic supporter there is on this channel or maybe anywhere else. I'm a huge Luka Doncic supporter. But Luka's not here. You could argue talent around Luka is supposed to be better. We could have a different debate about that, but man, Luka's not here. Didn't get this far. Trae Young did. Acknowledge him. Let's keep it moving, and let's get into the Western Conference Finals very quickly. We'll come back to the East in just a minute. Let's talk about the LA Clippers. Ooh, we love the Clippers. As it currently stands, the LA Clippers are down 0-2 with a Game 3 set to be played tonight. The Clippers are down in the playoffs for just the third time this postseason. They were able to survive being down 0-2 to the Mavs, 0-2 to the Jazz. But things have changed as their primary superstar, Kawhi Leonard, has been out the past few games with a knee injury. Now, it's worth to note that the Clippers have yet to elaborate on the extent of the damage to Kawhi's knee. They've also yet to announce a timetable for his return. They're kind of doing this weird day-to-day thing where the game's coming up and then they announce the day before, oh, Kawhi can't play, and then so on and so on. So, weird day-to-day kind of thing. And many sources are claiming that Kawhi might be suffering from at least a partially torn ACL, and the Clippers might be trying to hide that fact. And so there's a lot going on in Los Angeles right now with the Clippers. We'll talk about Kawhi's injury in just a second, but the question I think that a lot of people have is, do the Clippers have what it takes to come back again and win this series potentially without Kawhi? And if we're being honest, no, they don't. They do not. We saw what happened in Game 2 without Kawhi. They were in it. They were in Game 2. They were in it till the very end with 0.7 seconds to go. And they couldn't do it. And that is, a lot of that is due to DeAndre Ayton being a monster, and we'll talk about the Suns in a minute, but you could say that they might not have been in that situation had Kawhi been there. Kawhi Leonard has bailed this team out game in, game out. Go back to that Mavs series. Who was the X factor in that Game 7 in the Mavs series? When Luka Doncic was dominating the Clippers defense and nobody else could defend him, who stepped up in that moment? It was Kawhi Leonard. He stepped up on defense. He still couldn't stop Luka, but what did he do on offense? He went out there and he dominated as well, got his teammates involved, got the rebounds that were necessary, and they were able to get the win. Very similar thing was starting to happen with the Jazz, and he got injured, but they were able to get past that series. But Kawhi Leonard has bailed this team out before in this postseason. He's their best player. We know that playoff P, pandemic P, whatever we want to call him, Paul George, he can only get you so far. And I know Paul George has had a better postseason than I thought he was going to have, and I'll acknowledge that. But that doesn't mean that we can say that Paul George is going to be enough for this team to beat the Suns, who are the hottest team in the NBA and arguably the best team in the NBA. For you not to have Kawhi Leonard at this juncture is crucial. It is crucial for Kawhi to come back if you're a Clippers fan, because without Kawhi, there's no hope. As good as Paul George is, as good as Patrick Beverley is, as good as Rondo, Boogie Cousins, all these other guys who only play a few minutes a game are, as good as all of those players are, they're not going to make up for Kawhi's absence. And they're going to have to beat the Suns, because Devin Booker's not going to stop. How else are you going to stop Devin Booker? Paul George can't stop Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton is taking over games. Chris Paul, if he returns, that's going to be even another thing for them to overcome without Kawhi. And I think it's going to be too much. If you are a Clippers fan, if you are a Clippers player, you are praying that this is not a torn ACL. You are praying that Kawhi Leonard returns from this injury. He returns to the court, and he returns pretty much to the form he was in when he left. Because otherwise, the Clippers are not going to win, and then that's going to spark discussions about, is this team a true failure? And we'll have to see about that. The other question that people have about the LA Clippers is the way they've handled Kawhi's injury. So I have less qualms about the way they've handled Kawhi's injury, honestly. So they've done this weird thing. Kawhi gets injured. It's a knee injury. Some people are saying that it's potentially a torn ACL, or at least a partially torn ACL. Other people in the Clippers have refuted that, or at least not commented on that. So we don't know for sure what it is. But the fact that they have not elaborated, the fact that they have not made it public, the fact that they have hid it and done this weird day-to-day thing, I think it's indicative that the injury is not good. The injury is not good, and maybe it's a thing where the Clippers are trying to hide it from the Suns, and maybe it's a thing where the Clippers are also trying to hide it from their own team, because you're trying to hide it from the Suns on one hand, so they don't know what or who to game plan for. And on the other hand, you want to hide it from your own team, because if the Clippers players find out that Kawhi Leonard is done for the year with a torn ACL, if I'm a Clippers player, how demoralizing is that? How demoralizing is that when you're already down 0-2, to know that there's no hope for you to hold down the fort until your best player comes back? Because sometimes it can be a weird psychological thing where you can hold down the fort until the cavalry arrives, per se, right? So you can hold down the fort to an extent, but when all that pressure is on you, and the team doesn't match up well, and you need one player to make up that difference, it's gonna mess you up. It's honestly going to mess you up. So that could be playing into it as well. The Clippers might be trying to hide it from their own team so that it doesn't psych them out and it doesn't demoralize them to the point where they're going to lose 100% for sure. So it's a weird thing. And, the question is, should the NBA step in and force them to say what his injury is? I would say yeah. Because if I'm the Suns, I want to be able to game plan for what's going on. I don't blame the Clippers if they're trying to hide this injury for game planning reasons. I don't blame them for doing it. It's within the rules. If it's within the rules, it's within the rules, right? Take any advantage you want. But for transparency, Sure. Yeah, if I'm the Suns, I'd be mad. I'd want to know what this injury is one way or another, or at least something other than knee injury day to day. Because a lot of the reports we're hearing is this is not a regular knee injury. A lot of the reports we're hearing is this is not just a sore knee or whatever. We're hearing reports that this could be a very serious injury to Kawhi Leonard's knee, arguably the best player left in the playoffs. If I'm the Phoenix Suns, I just want to know. That's it. I just want to know, and I want to be able to game plan for that. So, and Clippers fans, I'm telling you, as good as some of these players that you have are, as good as they are no Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi needs to be back for you guys to win this series and advance to the finals. And if you guys don't advance to the finals, there's going to be a lot of talk in the offseason. I think Kawhi's contract isn't up till next year, but there's going to be a lot of talk. If they don't win this year, it's going to put even more pressure on them for next year. And I don't think anyone wants that going in, especially if you're a Clippers fan. So, with that being said, let's move on and talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. This was something, right? So, sorry about that. So, the Philadelphia 76ers have been eliminated from the playoffs, and now many fans and pundits are calling for change in Philadelphia. Yeah, you heard it right. Many fingers quickly pointed towards the 76ers guard Ben Simmons. In this postseason, Simmons only averaged 11.9 points per game, which is, about 5 or 6 points less than he usually does in the regular season, so really didn't show up as far as scoring goes. He still averaged 8 rebounds, 9 assists, which I think was good. One huge factor, though, in the team's loss, especially in that last game against the Hawks, was the free throw percentage. Man, Ben Simmons could not hit. He was just bricks all day. Simmons in this postseason was 34% from the free throw line for the whole postseason. That is bad. And Simmons is traditionally he's not a terrible free throw shooter. I believe he's he was about 70%. He's about 70% normal. And he gets to the postseason and it's 30%. We already know he can't hit threes. The guy can't shoot. Let's be honest here, guys. Let's be honest about this. Ben Simmons does have a shooting problem. He has a shooting problem. And it's been something that people have danced around. There's been some lighthearted jokes about it. But people have danced around and kind of ignored and said, okay, he'll eventually get to that point where he can shoot. He'll get to that point. He's 24 years old. He just blew a big chance. One of the best chances that his team probably had at the playoffs. He just blew it for his team because he couldn't shoot free throws. He shoots those free throws, the 76ers win that series. It's not that hard. Unless you're Ben Simmons. But, so this has caused, his shooting woes have caused people like Doc Rivers to come out in defense of him. And that's his coach. So Doc Rivers came out and he said that the team will work with Ben Simmons this offseason on different aspects of his game. We're assuming that means shooting. So I don't know what regimen you can put him through that would actually make him a better shooter. Ben Simmons is great going into the paint. Let me be clear about that. Ben Simmons, I think, is a great player. He's a better version, a significantly better version of Lonzo, I think. At his best. But the one aspect he's always struggled with is shooting, and for Doc Rivers to come out and say we're going to put him through a camp or whatever they're going to do, work on his shooting, there's only so much you can do as far as working on shooting. A lot of that stuff is developed early, at the AAU level, at even sometimes into the college level, but even then, man, it can be difficult. I'm not saying Ben Simmons can't do it, but if I'm Doc Rivers, if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm a little worried here. I'm honestly a little worried about whether or not, Ben Simmons, someone like Ben Simmons is worth this max contract that gonna get. I'm honestly kind of worried about, Ben Simmons taking up all this cap room potentially and taking up all this salary room potentially. I'm thinking about it. And that shouldn't happen for someone who is supposed to be a franchise caliber player. We know Joel Embiid. There's no questions about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is the cornerstone of this franchise. Ben Simmons was supposed to be at least the Robin to his Batman. But right now, he's not even fulfilling that role. And he needs to come up clutch in the playoffs. He needs to. It's crucial. If he doesn't, then what's he doing here? A lot of this has led to people saying that the 76ers should possibly move on from Ben Simmons. Now, first of all, that's easier said than done, right? You're moving a player who a lot of people think still has great potential, which he does. He does. Still has great potential. Still has a future in this league. But you would be trying to trade a point guard who can't shoot. Not one who's necessarily ineffective or just inconsistent about shooting. You are trading a player who can't shoot, who is unable to shoot the basketball. As good as he is a passer, as good as he is in the paint, and he's really fucking good. As good as he is doing all those things, if he can't shoot, and if he can't show development this offseason that he's able to shoot, the 76ers might have to move on from him. But I don't know what return you're going to get. You're not going to get number one pick levels of return for Ben Simmons. That's for sure. You might get mid-first rounder. If a team's really desperate, might even find a way to finagle an unprotected pick from a bad team. So that's possible. But the one thing we know, I think, at this point, as far as if he doesn't progress with his shooting, we know Doc Rivers is going to take him to camp and do all those things. Hopefully he gets better. But if he doesn't, we've seen the ceiling for Ben Simmons. We've seen the ceiling. It is what it is. If he doesn't, at some point, learn how to shoot. And what he is a player who can be productive, who can be effective, but he's not a franchise player. He's just not. And as hard as that is to hear for maybe some 76ers fans, as easy as it is to hear for some 76ers fans who are not happy with his performance, and deservedly so, it's the truth. And the truth always wins out. So, Ben Simmons, good luck, man. Good luck. I genuinely wish you good luck because not just for you, but the city of Philadelphia, man. The process, that city trusted that process for so many years. And I really hope that they see a return on that at some point in the near future. I really hope they do because I also want Henke to be right. That's also part of it. But we'll see what happens with that. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going and talk about the Phoenix Suns. Let me get a quick sip of water before we do that. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Sorry, got a text message. Should not have my phone open during the show. Bad. All right. The Phoenix Suns have taken a 2-0 lead over the LA Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. With the Suns just two wins away from reaching the finals, many fans are praising the work of both Devin Booker and Chris Paul in leading the team to this point. Booker especially has been a superstar for this team for years. He's had this superstar potential for a very long time since he was drafted. And now it looks like he's finally reached that potential. He is a scoring machine. He is getting players involved. I think Chris Paul has helped this team out immensely with not just his leadership, but his ball vision, getting people involved. DeAndre Ayton, I think, has benefited especially from Chris Paul being there. So I think bringing in Chris Paul might have been the move. The most unsung move and the arguably, at this point, honestly, the most consequential move in this offseason was the Suns acquiring Chris Paul. Book it. And now the only question is, Can anyone stop the Phoenix Suns from winning it all this year? Loaded question, right? But if we're being honest, other than themselves, doesn't look like the Clippers are going to stop them. It really doesn't look like the Clippers are going to stop them, because unless the Clippers magically fix Kawhi Leonard's knee, Devin Booker is just going to tear him up. Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul are playing at a different level. And when you have three players playing at that level, and Chris Paul, we know he has to come back from injury. So when he eventually does, which I think, not injury, he's on the COVID list. But when Chris Paul eventually comes off the COVID list, he's going to continue to play at that next level he was playing earlier in the playoffs. And when you have those three players all in sync, all knowing their roles, and all playing some of their best basketball of their careers, in the case of Booker and Ayton, the best basketball of their careers, it's almost impossible for one team to stop, especially the Clippers. I know I know Paul George is good, but he's not Kawhi. He's not going to be able to contain this, and he's not going to be able to make up for it by himself as consistently as someone like Kawhi would. That's why you had Kawhi as the central piece of that team. Kawhi was pound for pound one of the best defenders in the league, and he is an offensive juggernaut when he wants to be and when he's there. You brought in Paul George to kind of play that Robin role to his Batman, but to stop this Suns team right now, it's going to be an almost impossible task for them to. And that's just being real. The Suns are the favorite to win not just this series, but no matter who they face. They could face Giannis. They could face Giannis at his best. I would still have the Suns over the Bucks. I would have the Suns over the Hawks. If the Hawks find a way to get to the finals, which, they won game one, so who knows. But they are the best team in basketball, and they have been for a while, and I think it's time we acknowledge that. And it's also time that we acknowledge, the Suns as an organization. James Jones has done a wonderful job in this organization, not just in drafting, in acquiring talent. DeAndre Ayton has taken that step forward, like we said. A lot of players are saying, comparing him to Trae Young, comparing him to Luka, saying, oh, he's not at that level. Who's still here? DeAndre Ayton, he's still here. Trae Young's here. We'll see for how long, but DeAndre Ayton's here to stay. So the Suns are going to be, honestly, their own worst enemy. If we're talking about who can stop them at this point, if Kawhi doesn't come back, only they can stop them by underachieving. That is the only thing that can stop this team from winning it all this year. It's the only thing that's going to stop Devin Booker from finally shutting up the haters. It's the only thing that's going to stop Chris Paul from shutting up the haters. The only thing that's going to stop DeAndre Ayton from shutting up the haters. Their own lack of ability to shine in the moment. That's it. Another interesting thing that happened this week, though, was Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, he compared Devin Booker to Kobe Bryant, and I thought this was interesting enough to talk about. So he said that Devin Booker reminds him of Kobe Bryant. He said he kind of compared the two, and it was met with a little bit of a mixed bag from NBA fans. So a lot of players or a lot of people say that, yes, Devin Booker has a connection with Kobe Bryant. We know a little bit about their past, how Devin Booker, he got a little inspired by Kobe Bryant. Kobe would, say good things about him and whatnot. So, yeah, there is a little bit of a connection there, so I get why. But as far as comparing them, other than mentality, you could say that Devin Booker kind of has that Mamba mentality, right? I think to an extent, yeah, he does. Devin Booker is a ruthless scorer. He is a ruthless, relentless player. And he kind of fits in that Mamba mentality kind of mold. But where I differ from someone like Stephen A. Smith is in their playing style. Because Devin Booker and Kobe Bryant are two very different players. Are they both very good, relentless scorers? Yeah. But they do it in different ways. And Kobe Bryant was much better at going in the paint. Much better at attacking the paint. more physical in the paint. And let's be honest here. Kobe Bryant, the defender, is leagues above Devin Booker. And that's not hating on Devin Booker. That is more about how good Kobe was as an all-around player in his prime. So we can make the comparisons. Like I know Stephen A. Smith, he has a show he's got to do. He's got to, be like, oh, Devin Booker is the next Kobe. He's got to go do all that stuff, right? He's got to go cap a little bit. That's fine. He's on national TV. He's got money to make. He's got clicks to bait. That's fine. But it is cap. We need to be honest about that. It is cap when you say that Devin Booker and Kobe Bryant are in any way similar players. Like, also, let's give some respect to Devin Booker here. Let's not say that Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant, as Stephen A. said. Devin Booker is not the next Kobe Bryant. They're two different players. They're in different situations. Devin Booker is the first Devin Booker. That's how damn good this kid is. There's nobody in the NBA right now who's playing better than Devin Booker. I'll wait. Can't think of one, can you? There's nobody playing at that level. I think, and there hasn't been someone playing at that level for a long time. And we're finally seeing the star. We're finally seeing the superstar that he was supposed to be. So I'm excited to see what Devin Booker can do. It's going to be great to watch this kid grow. And, I just think we need to start. Here's the thing. I understand player comps to an extent. But once a player reaches this level, like Devin Booker has, we need to stop with it. Like rookies, I get, because we don't know what they're going to be, but we know what Devin Booker is. We know what Devin Booker is. He's a superstar. We need to acknowledge him. So, just do it. Do that. We'll actually be right back. So we're having a guest on today to talk about a lot of stuff that's going on in Chicago, apparently. There's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago. We're going to have a guest on to talk about that. We will be right back in just a few minutes. Give us 5 minutes. We'll be right back with more Real Take Sports Talk. In the meantime, remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. ado, welcome back to the show where keeping it real goes right. And I am back, but I'm not alone, guys. I am back, and I'm joined today by someone who I met literally a week ago, but who knows more about Chicago sports than I think even Jim McMahon, although knowing where he is nowadays, probably not. Ethan, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? Hello.
What's up,
It's
Ethan?
good to be here.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah,
I
no, it's
know.
good to be here.
Yeah, I gotta cut that Jim McMahon segment. That was not great.
No, given like the amount of head injuries he had, yeah, he's probably just floating around, chasing little butterflies.
Yeah, probably.
Losing his mind.
But,
High as hell,
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have
Thanks.
you. We'll have you on, hopefully more to talk about Chicago. But let's start off talking about something that has nothing to do with Chicago sports, and that is Tom Brady. So Tom Brady will appear on The Shop on HBO this week, and he gave an interview where he openly talked about his free agency process with the Bucks, and he allegedly had some very interesting things to say about teams that were kind of courting him in free agency. So one of the biggest revelations that came out of this was Brady. At one point, one of the teams was out on Tom Brady in the free agency process, and he says, quote, one of the teams, they weren't interested at the very end, and he said, I was thinking to myself, you're sticking with that motherfucker? And he was talking about that quarterback. So, ever since then, the internet's been blowing up about speculation as far as who that team might be and like why they might want to pass on Tom Brady. I think the one question I got is, did whatever team that was, did they make a mistake by passing up on Tom Brady?
Yeah, I mean, he's the GOAT. I think he's solidified his stance as the best quarterback of all time. You could say you want what you want about, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but he went to Tampa. He had 1 year and he proved that he doesn't need Bill. So, yeah, I would say they definitely made a mistake not passing on Tom.
Yeah, I think anybody who didn't pick, unless you're like Pat Mahomes or unless you're like one of those like
true,
good
yeah.
teams, unless you're the Chiefs or the Ravens who already have like a franchise caliber quarterback,
Exactly,
like
yeah.
you're not passing up on Tom Brady. And like a lot of people think, like the rumor mill is that it was the Rams when they had Jared Goff. So like that doesn't make things better at all. Like they traded for Stafford, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, Tom Brady on that team. You're telling me Tom Brady?
Oh my God, yeah.
In LA, like that wouldn't work. Like, come on. He went to Tampa. He wants to go in the warm weather. He wants to live somewhere that's nice, that's got beaches. What better place in LA? And if you're telling me that the LA Rams, like were out on the Tom Brady sweepstakes, bro, that's their own fault. Like, of course he'd be like, you sticking with Jared fucking Goff? The fuck? Like, no. Yeah, but
and then when you initially said that, I was like, "Oh man, kid!" I know the Bears are interested." And I was like, "Oh jeez, is he talking about?" I think it was Mitch Trubisky at the time, but
that also was like the rumor, yeah.
Yeah, but I do know that Tom did not want to come to Chicago because he was scared of bear weather. He did not want to play in the cold. He wanted the beaches. He wanted Tampa Bay, and I respect the hot weather, but at the same time, like, nah, Tom, like you can't handle the cold. But at the same time, he did deal with it in New England, so I can't talk that much shit. But yeah, no, I would definitely say, based on what you just said, that he was probably talking shit against LA, which, it's LA for you.
The dude spent 20 years like freezing his nips off in the playoffs. Like I just want to go to the beach. That's all I want. I just want to go to the beach. like I don't blame him. Like I think it's weird how like all the Tom Brady haters have kind of come around on him like in the past year. Like I think it was like more they hated the Patriots dynasty than they hated Tom Brady. Like
and it happens in all sports. Like they're like, okay, you've won enough. Please stop winning so someone else could win, even if it's not your team. So, but you gotta respect the guy. At the end of the day, like, come on.
He's the greatest player in the history of professional football. Might be the greatest athlete of all time. Like Jordan, like a lot of people want to say Jordan. Look, hey, what? I know, but like you gotta admit, man, 7 rings.
7 rings. It's hard to argue, and he's going for 8. He's going for 8.
He might, dude. This fucking guy. He's like the only non-Super Bowl ring that's gonna be on my finger by the time my career's over is my wedding ring. That's like literally what he said. Like I love that energy, yeah. So exactly, that's great. Yeah, but we'll come back to Tom Brady eventually, see what he does. I'm probably gonna be talking about him winning a Super Bowl 6 months from now. Who knows? Anyway, one thing we do know is that the Chicago Cubs, Ethan, are having one hell of a season this year. 41 and 33. I think they're tied for first place with the Brewers right now. A lot of excitement in Chicago this year. Ethan, real take Cubs talk. Tell me, what's the ceiling for the Cubs this year? What's going on, Chicago? Do they have the potential to win a World Series? Let's go.
So to talk about ceiling, you gotta give some context. We traded away our ace last year and our backup catcher, who's a pretty damn good backup catcher, to the San Diego Padres, who are they're a contender. Like they're not. I don't think they're in first now, but they're pretty. They were hot for a while. They're up there. The Giants came out of nowhere. So, but this year was supposed to be a transition year, so no one had any expectations. My favorite analogy to the Chicago Cubs season has been, and I'm gonna quote. I believe it's Barstool Carl of Barstool Chicago. Like I respect the guy, so I'm not gonna like steal his thunder. He said it's like a casual Sunday, just a couple beers that turned into a goddamn rage. Like holy fuck, they came out of nowhere. Everyone thought even the media, everyone thought they'd be like middle 500, maybe under, like not so big. Even I did. Like they still have the core from the World Series, so it's like okay, they can do something. But the fact that they had a terrible start in April, terrible. Like I believe they were in fourth place. Everyone was ready to like say they were dead, and then they had an awesome May. I believe they had the best record in May. Don't quote me on that, but
they had a great record in May. Yeah, no, yeah. Like I remember I was keeping up with them. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, the Cubs, everyone like, literally came out. That and the fact that the whole pandemic, Chicago, not everyone in Chicago, but I feel like Chicago people haven't taken the pandemic seriously. Like everyone's gotten their vaccine. Most people I know have gotten their vaccine. So we've really been allowed to open up. And when the stadiums open up, the Cell and Wrigley Field, or not the Cell, Guaranteed Rate, or whatever it's called these days, when they opened up and they started letting Cubs fans in, big morale boost for Chicago Cubs because when we swept the Cardinals at one series, David Ross, I believe, at least one, maybe two games, he gave. Yeah, if the fans weren't there, we would not have won those games. So definitely a big morale boost from the Cubs fans, just coming in, helping the team out, just happy to be there. Everyone's just happy to be back. Everyone's just happy to be outside. And it's nice to weather out. It's kind of shitty out in Chicago now, but like I'm kind of glad because it's not.
When I was there, it was really nice. That's what
it was.
Yeah, it was really nice. And but no, I mean, going back to what you said, I think like the morale boost that the fans provide the city of Chicago is like really important. Like like there's a lot of cities where like morale is important, right? But Chicago is like one of those like die-hard sports cities that
my God, yeah.
The fans like it's like it's like a New York. It's like like even a Baltimore or a Pittsburgh where like not a lot of stuff matters, but sports fucking matter. like the Bears, the Ravens, whatever, like the Steelers for something. We don't talk about them, but like those like the teams matter more sometimes than like things like going to church. So like I'm telling you, I promise you, when when Wrigley Field was filled up and they got that first win when fans were back and "Go Cubs Go" was being like play, like I bet you like that must have been an insane like morale boost for the team. Like I'm a player and I'm listening to that and I'm hyped up after a year being in the fucking Mickey Mouse bubble. I'm ready. Like I'm ready to destroy the league.
Not only when like it first opened up. Like I work at the Wrigley Rooftop, so I kind of watch the Cubs games as my job. I was there Easter. It was the first homestand, third game of the homestand. That was the third home game of the season, and it was limited capacity. I want to say 5,000 fans. Most of the rooftops were like 50 people each rooftop. Like season just started, and Cubs fans were in mid-season form on Easter. Like it was also nice out, but we've been just waiting to just get out there and have some fun and root on our team and just get those Cub snakes going. So literally we've all been waiting for this all year. So it's the fact, the Cubs fans are happy. The players are happy to have the fans back. And they definitely we've gotten them a few extra wins there. And then June, they've had some tougher competition. So I'm gonna say they still have a winning record. They're still winning more the majority of the games, but they have definitely slowed down. So we'll see. It's a lot of guys are still on contract years, so we have no idea if they're gonna get traded or if they're gonna sell or buy at the trade deadline or just keep or what's going on. They could crash and burn for the next month. And all I know is that I'm having fun. And this is the golden era of the Chicago Cubs. Like we have never been this good in over 120 years, something like that. So we just gotta enjoy it while it lasts.
As a Nets fan, I can appreciate that, dude. Like when we were on that run with our World Series ring, like with our World Series run, like everybody knew like Eden was gone. We knew like Strasburg's contract was coming up. There was a lot of like question marks as far as who was gonna stay and who wasn't. But it was one of those things where our team just said, "Fuck it, go all in."
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it takes. I think Chicago could go on like a very similar run because sometimes that's a very good motivator. Like players want to play well so that they can get that next big contract.
Exactly,
teams want to play well and optimize. Players want to win. So I think that along with how good they've been playing, this season, they've hit a bit of a rut, but like all teams do. Like think about Nationals, we were like I think it was like 10 games below 500, like just a 2 weeks or like a week and a half ago, and now we've won 9 of our last 10, and we're like tied for third in the division. So it can change on a dime, man. It can really change on a dime. But this Cubs is a special team, and you got to me in Chicago. Honestly, you and Marcus got to me in Chicago.
They're the lovable losers, although we're not losers anymore, but we're still lovable. So
no. The Met.
There's a reason.
Well, you'll never be like the Met.
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
So obviously the Nationals are making a big comeback. The Cubs, like I said, we traded away our ace, and our starting pitching is a weak point, and a lot of people are saying like, go get Max Scherzer. How do you feel about trading away Max Scherzer?
Fuck out of here. That's no. Fuck out. That's
so you don't think
happening.
they'll trade him?
No.
Okay.
Well, no.
I'm generally serious. Like I would love to see him in a Cubs uniform, but at the same time,
I'm sure you would.
He's a great player. I would, if the Nationals go on and make a run for it, like they'll need Max Scherzer all the way. So I'm just curious.
Max
so
Scherzer.
you don't think
we will not trade Max. Dude, I think we're fine we're fine going into bankruptcy before we trade Max Scherzer. That would destroy hope for everyone in DC because we love Strasburg. Don't get me wrong, we love Strasburg.
Oh, yeah,
that guy cannot stay on the field though. He just can't stay on the field. We need something as far as pitching, and Scherzer's the only one who can frovide that. But fuck off, that's never happening.
All right, no, I'm not saying he should. I'm just.
And if it does, Ethan, I'm gonna come to Chicago and we're gonna fight. I'm gonna be mad.
How about this? If he comes to Chicago, I will buy you a Scherzer jersey. How about that?
I'm
not
gonna wear a Chicago
I'll
Cubs
buy it for
Scherzer
myself,
jersey.
I will wear the Scherzer jersey. I respect it.
Yeah, I don't respect it. No, don't ever say blasphemy like that ever again. That hurt me.
If you said I'm just going off rumors. It's not just me saying this. Like I've heard this from a bunch of the media. So go blame the media. I just wanted to find out your opinion.
Oh yeah.
So now I know
dude.
it.
Hey, man. I'm gonna blame the mainstream media for all of my anger. No one else has ever done that before in the history of life. All right. You got anything else you want to talk about the Cubs? Like anything else? Any motivation? You got anything to say? Any Cubs players who might be watching?
It's Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, and Javi Baez. They're in their contract years, and Craig Kimbrell. But the three guys, they have a lot to prove. They're good players. Javi's been on and off, but Rizzo, they should extend all three of them. Rizzo should be a Cub for life. Chris Bryant, he might be the best Cubs player ever, up there for Ernie Banks and the Hawk, sweet swinging Billy Williams. So that's all I'll say. And the fucking Ricketts don't want to pay money because there were $4 billion and they don't want to pay the money, even though they are making all the money. That's another thing. The Cubs, when they open the stadium, have you seen these Cub snakes? They're massive. They're going all over the bleachers, and someone did the math. And one of these Cub snakes, a small one, at the very beginning when the Cubs started letting them happen, That's like over $40,000 worth of beer at the stadium. They're making money. They can afford to pay the players. Do not give me this bullshit. Tom Ricketts, please, just pay the players. I will go to the stadium. I will buy plenty of beer. My friends and I will build all the beer snakes you need to pay these players. And, like I said, they're like you said earlier, they have something to prove. It's their contract year. They want to make the money. So the players are definitely motivated enough. We just need our owner, the Cubs owner, to fulfill his promise of being competitive, and being competitive every year means signing Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo and maybe Javi Baez to lifetime term contracts. They should be Cubs for life, honestly. And like you walk around, I don't think, and there's no Javi Baez. He's had ups and downs, but I think Javi Baez has the most popular jersey in Wrigley Field, maybe in all of Chicago. And Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant are 2 and 3 right there, along with all the Hall of Famers. You can't not sign those guys. Like, it's fucking bullshit that they're even like one of the Cubs executives, not Tom, like one of the financial guys. He came on like, we're losing money. No, you're not. You're just not making as much money as you thought you would. You're making a lot of money. You have a lot of money. Spend the money. You have nothing else to spend it on except the Cubs. So
it's not like they're gonna go. Like, you're not gonna go find a new stadium. You're not gonna go like fund these huge like restoration projects. Like, no, you're not. You don't got much money to spend. Just spend the money on the players. Yeah. Make the team better. Invest in your own team.
Invest.
Exactly. That's the biggest gripe I have with all these like billionaire owners who are just I want I don't want to pay like the players, and I want the city to pay for all my new stadiums and the renovations. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. You have the money. If I was, in Tom Ricketts' position, I would be spending all the money, because at the same time, I know that Cubs fans want to be at Wrigley Field. That's another thing. Ever since the stadium opened up, they've jacked up the ticket prices. They're making money. Spend the money. It's worth it.
I cannot wait to give you your own show to just rant about Cubs fans one day.
Oh man, it's just like
it's gonna be immaculate.
Ever since they traded away Yu Darvish and Victor Caratini, two really good players.
Yu Darvish is amazing.
I wouldn't say he's having a career year, but he's definitely having a great ass year. And if he was on the Cubs right now, we would be in first by a landslide. We'd be even ahead of the Chicago White Sox. They'd be nowhere near the record. We'd just be killing everybody. 16, not 16. We just sweep everybody to the playoffs with you, easy peasy.
we go undefeated. We'll be the first team in baseball history to win all of our games, win all of the playoff games.
162-0, and then sweep everybody in the playoffs. That's if
sweep
we had
everyone,
and
it'll be no hitters the entire way through. We'll have a few perfect games. Not every game. Oh my God, perfect, but we'll have a few perfect games, a few.
Hey man, when you're at Wrigley Field, every game is perfect.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. That's nice. That's nice. Also, as someone who was the last thing I did before everything closed down for COVID, the last big thing I went to was a DC Defenders game. And when you mentioned the Cup Snakes, man, it brought me back. It brought me back to pre-COVID times, because that was the last big thing. Like DC Defenders, for those who don't know, is XFL team, and we had this big thing where we went viral because there was this really long cup snake, this beer snake that was people were adding cups to and it went viral. It was great, and you were at the game, you were looking, that's real cool, and then everything died, and so did the XFL. R.I.P.
Well, I know, right? But I don't know. Did you know that the Cup Snakes were illegal for the longest time at Wrigley Field? People would start building them, and then
it's kind of like how
security.
How at events you get beach balls, people throwing around beach balls, and how they want to. They teams don't fuck with that, yeah.
Oh yeah, but then the other day, the second or last day of the homestand, their most recent homestand, Tom Ricketts was out in the bleachers. There's a picture of him with someone building these Cup Snakes, and he's smiling. He's supporting the Cup Snakes, after all this time of them saying no. And then at the same time, probably half an hour later, a bunch of cups fly onto the field. It's that's why we can't have nice things. So I'm pretty sure Tom might have jinxed the whole Cup Snake. So we might be done, but they had definitely had their fun while they did. So
I mean,
We'll see
dude,
what happens next homestand.
fans in general, dude, this year have been out of control, kind of. I don't
Oh
know
my
what
God,
it
yeah.
was. We'll talk about it in a little bit because I have some video footage of just fans being out of control. But like, there's been baseball fan fights, basketball fan
Oh my
fights.
God, yeah.
It's been wild.
It's
Like, dude,
nuts.
they let us out of the house and we can't be trusted.
Yeah. No, that's
Like,
literally what I was about to say. You're dead on. Yeah. Like everyone's just happy to be out, and they have all
I
this
think
pent up energy. Yeah.
yeah, a little too happy, man. A little too. People forgot. I think here's the thing. We'll talk about it like more in depth, but I think people legitimately forgot that there's consequences to some of the dumb shit they say.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
Yeah, but speaking of dumb shit, I want to get your thoughts on this. The Chicago Bears rookie quarterback Justin Fields has gotten rave reviews during OTAs and team minicamp. Even so, the Bears are still prepared to have Andy Dalton, the veteran quarterback, start week 1. That is the plan. Before the team knew it would be able to trade up for the Ohio State superstar, Dalton signed on as the starter. He was supposed to be like the big transitional piece until they got their next quarterback. And in his early performance, Field has apparently impressed the coaches. He's impressed a lot of management. Like, they're very happy with his progression. And a lot of people said Justin Fields in that draft might have been at least the second best quarterback in the draft. And if you ask me, I had him rated higher than Trey Lance, higher definitely than Zach Wilson, higher than a lot of the guys that went above him. Regardless, he's in the position where he is. He's in Chicago. And when he was asked about the Chicago Bears' plan to start Andy Dalton, he said, quote, if I don't believe in it, meaning if I don't believe in the plan that the Bears have, it's not going to work out. So it's my job. My job is to strictly stick to it, get better, and to be the best quarterback I can be, help my team win. Ethan, should he believe in the Bears' plan to start Andy Dalton to begin the season, or should the Bears start him? What should happen?
I mean, he's saying all the right things. You can't not like. He has every player in that locker room has to buy in to the game plan. You know, if it's his role to be this second quarterback, then okay. Like, sadly, I can't make the decision to start him. That's Matt Nagy's decision. And personally, I think Matt Nagy should have been fired 2 years ago. So at the same time, like, if Justin Fields, this may be a hot take because I know everybody wants Justin Fields. I want Justin Fields to start day 1. But if he sat even the whole season, maybe half the season, you know, like just get the jitters out, like enjoy, like you're just sitting on the sideline, enjoy being an NFL player, even though you're not playing, like just like learn as you go, and then, you know, when his time comes, which I maybe halfway through the season, based on Andy Dalton, like he'll probably start. He should definitely buy into it because like if he can't prove himself to be the better quarterback, which it's kind of like doubtful that like Andy Dalton's really better than Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But if he's bitter on the sidelines, that might ruin his attitude when it is time for him to start later in the season or next season, whenever that'll be. So yeah, he should buy into the. He'd definitely buy into it. But at the same time, I don't think Andy Dalton should start over him.
For me, I think it's also about like kind of where the Bears are currently, dude. Because it's like the past few years, like the main thing that's held this team back from being not even a playoff contender. They were a playoff contender with Mitch Trubisky. The main thing that's held this team back from being a Super Bowl contender has been the quarterback. Like Mitch Trubisky, Mitch Trubisky held this team back. They have a great defense. They have I think, along with Aaron Donald, I think Khalil Mack, in my opinion, is the best pound for pound defensive player in the NFL. They have some pieces around the quarterback that are pretty damn good. Great running backs. It's already, the table is set. I think it's just a matter of finding the guy who can get the job done. It was not Mitch Trubisky. They made 2 playoffs in spite of Mitch Trubisky in the past 3 years. That's crazy. Like, Chicago Bears last year had no business making the playoffs. I'm sorry. They had no business making the playoffs.
You're completely right. They were the last team in like
it might
COVID,
have actually saved Nagy's job too.
Oh my God, so did, yeah. Even though he totally stunk up that game. And here's what you're saying. You're saying like despite Mitch Trubisky, I won't argue that. I will say despite Matt Nagy. Like his first year here, they went 12-4. okay, you gotta give everybody credit. And then that was Mitch's, I believe, first full year. It was the second year, first full year as a starter. Um, and they somehow hid a lot of Mitch's problems, which, Mitch had a lot of problems. But Matt Nagy, I didn't like him throughout the year. I didn't like him in the playoffs, his play calling. And then here's the problem. You have your first year as a coach. It's his first year as a head coach. You lose in the playoffs. You go back to the drawing board. You're like, okay, where can I get better? Where can I improve? Where can I change? Matt Nagy has not changed any of these years. He's still calling the stupid jet sweeps to the right or
the
left.
jet
Like,
sweeps,
calls.
the
It's
T
like, God,
formation with
tired.
2 running backs and a fullback.
It's painful to watch. Like I love the Bears. I'll watch them every Sunday, but holy crap. Like, yes, Matt Nagy yes, Mitch had his problems, but Matt Nagy didn't help. He didn't put him in the right system. He just I would say it's both of them. And I trust Justin Fields. I don't trust Matt Nagy.
So
and
I get that.
I know I could see Matt Nagy ruining Justin Fields for just calling all the wrong plays for Justin Fields.
Trust me, that is a problem that could happen, and that's kind of why I think they should probably at least after this year, no matter what happens, unless they win. Super Bowl, you get rid of Matt Nagy, like that's for sure. But see, the thing is, I think the deck is already stacked. Like they already have everything set up to make Justin Fields, I think, successful. Because Justin Fields is the player. He's going to go out there and execute everything to the best of his ability. And his ability is pretty damn good. And he's very versatile. Even though that offensive line, I know that's the only part of this team
that is an actual weakness.
That has trouble. So but he's very versatile. He's able to get out of the pocket, extend plays, which I'm sorry, Mr. Trubisky has not been able to do. So I think there's a way for them to utilize Justin Fields better. As far as Andy Dalton goes, I like Andy Dalton. Trust me, I like him. Like I'm sure he's a great guy, but if it's even close, sorry.
No, you're right.
If it's even close between these two, you have to give the young kid Justin Fields the confidence early on to go out there. Especially, dude, that Super Bowl window that I talked about earlier, it's closing. Like Khalil Mack's not going to be there forever. Yeah. That defense is not going to be together exactly forever. So at some point, you have to pull the trigger. And I don't know when it is, right? I don't know when the perfect time is. If I'm Matt Nagy, I'm starting the kid day one to try to save my own job. But I think the question is, by the time they start Justin Fields, is it going to be too late? Because if you go let's say you start the season 2-4 or whatever, do you really want to put Justin Fields in that situation with a demoralized team that's not playing well and that's already pissed off? Or but you're gonna have to, because you're gonna have to find a spark.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Here's all I'll say about Justin Fields is no matter whether he starts first day halfway through the season or not till next year, we'll see what happens. He will be a star. Ideally, he will be a Bear for life. But he's got the pedigree, not the pedigree, but he does have the pedigree. Ohio State, I know they don't have the best track record of quarterbacks in the NFL,
the anomaly. He's the outlier.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, he will prove everybody wrong. No, he's got the attitude. He's got that chip on his shoulder. He didn't go he was the fourth quarterback to go. And then you look all the quarterbacks who went before him. They're smiling. They're happy to be there. And then you got Justin Fields who's no, I'm taking it seriously.
A little bit of a
he's
Aaron
ready
Rodgers.
to
Remember when Aaron Rodgers was drafted? A little bit of that.
Yeah.
All right,
no,
cool.
yeah. He's
hopefully
it
winds up better than Rodgers though.
Ideally, yeah. I mean, as far as I know, Fields actually I believe his sister is in the College World Series, and Justin Fields went to her game to support her, so he actually has a good relationship with his family, unlike Rodgers. So there's that.
I love how you go for you went for the heart on that. You couldn't go for a lot of things. You just went for the heart, the most personal thing you could. That's how you know he's a Bears fan.
Oh my god, yeah. We do not. I respect the hell out of Aaron Rodgers. I would say he's talented, better than Tom Brady. But he's a Packers. He wears a Packers jersey. I hate him till the end of my life.
Yeah, how you feel about?
What's up?
Sorry, how you feel about Aaron Rodgers? I feel about Troy Polamalu. Respect the player, but man, fuck that dude for what he did to the Ravens. Man, fuck that dude. He destroyed multiple Super Bowl runs single-handedly.
Totally. Oh
Fuck
my
that
God,
guy.
yes. Yeah.
But no,
No,
I feel you on that. But I agree with you, man. Like it's like Fields has the potential to be a star. He's got the potential to be there for a long time. The only question is how much damage can Nagy do in the 1 or 2 years that he's there?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
let's say he make the playoffs this year, man. If they make the playoffs, Nagy's not going anywhere. Like,
This is sad
and
but true. Yes.
yeah, that's gonna be. It's just like it's like when you got a Band-Aid on, but it's like really not bothering you. But it's kind of like it's like you know what I'm saying. Like it's been on too long. Just take it off.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Just rip the Band-Aid, get a new guy, and everybody's saying about the same about Ryan Pace too. Like,
He
yeah.
needs to be gone yesterday. Like
He
Trubisky,
just trading out to trade Justin Fields maybe saved his job. Maybe like he's awful in the first round.
It didn't take a genius to do that.
Oh my God, dude!
I would have done that. Dude, but he's the guy who traded like the entire franchise for Mitchell Trubisky, isn't he?
He traded up one spot from 3 to 2 to draft Mitchell Trubisky over Pat Mahomes, over Deshaun Watson, which in hindsight actually wasn't the worst idea because given his offseason allegations, but still better than Mitch Trubisky. It just breaks my heart every time. Like, it's one thing to like, okay, you traded Mitch like second. It's like the dagger in the heart is like he traded up one spot,
and he gave up like a pretty good haul. It was like a second round, a third round. Like this was like he gave up. They switched a second and a third. I'm just like, dude, like what?
I try not to think of that. Yeah, I try.
That's wild. That's so wild to me. But
it's...
but yeah, to kind of put a bow though on the whole Trubisky thing, man. It's just like I feel like anybody who like at least like even paid a little attention to the draft kind of knew Mr. Trubisky was going to be a bust because he didn't really do anything in college.
No,
he didn't really show he was like good
10
at anything.
Games, 10 or 12 game starts. That's like very unproven. Justin Fields, he's got at least 2, maybe 2.5 seasons. Like all these other quarterbacks, even if they had one season, they usually wowed everybody or they won the Heisman. So yeah, he's gone. All I know is Mitch Trubisky. Everyone wanted Mitch Trubisky to be Josh Allen, and I'm not just saying this. Like the organization thought he'd be Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is Josh Allen. Mitch is now Josh Allen's backup, which is a good position for Mitch because if Josh Allen got hurt, Mitch I think would fit in well with Buffalo and their system. He's not in Chicago anymore. He'll be back third preseason game at Soldier Field. So until then, I do not care.
I cannot wait for that warm reception he's going to get. It's going to be a cuddly reception for Mitch Trubisky.
Here's like, after Mitch got drafted, I believe he went to the Bulls game. He got booed. Even with there weren't a lot of people at the Bulls game because the Bulls sucked. He got booed. I think the first game that the Wrigley Field is all 100% capacity, Justin Fields gets a standing ovation. I'm telling you, this guy, Justin Fields, the day he got drafted, he was automatically a top 3 franchise quarterback in the Bears history.
Well, you know why? Because he's also a leader, which is something you guys have really lacked. You guys have really lacked that from the quarterback. Like you went from you had like God bless Jim McMahon. Yeah, Jim McMahon was like the last like leader type of quarterback, but even then he was like he kind of led by like being like the dude. Like, everyone fucked with Jim McMahon, right? But then you go Jake, then you got Kyle Orton. Jay Cutler,
Rex Grossman,
Rex Grossman, the Grossman, Rex Grossman,
sexy Rexy, yeah,
sexy Rexy. Hey, took you to a Super Bowl. Sorry, no, Devin Hester took you to a Super Bowl that year.
And
that defense,
Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs, that defense took us to the Super Bowl.
That is true.
Yeah, it goes like Jay Cutler. He's probably the best statistically, talent-wise, out of all quarterbacks. He's number 1, Bears. Sid Luckman is number 2.
He's underrated.
Fucking 40s.
Underrated.
We haven't had that much. He's great, I'm sure, but that's I can't do that. That was 80 years ago. The game has changed a lot since Sid Luckman and the Bears' dominance. And then it goes Justin Fields. Hasn't played a game. All we do is seen him in Ohio State and at camp this summer, and he's already the 3rd best quarterback in Bears history. So there's hope for the future. God forbid, like Bears crash and burn, but ideally we just get another high draft pick, get an O lineman, and then start Justin Fields next year. I have no idea what to expect from the Red Rocket.
Oh,
I believe,
Andy,
yeah,
Sandy Andy, yeah.
no idea. I believe he went to the playoffs 8 years in a row with the Bengals, if I'm
No,
right.
not 8. It was like
No,
5. It was like 5. He went to the playoffs 5 years out of the time.
five.
Out of
Okay,
the 8, yeah. So like no, they went to the playoffs. Like Andy Dalton. Here's the thing: the knock on Andy Dalton isn't that he's not a good quarterback. Andy Dalton is a good quarterback, right?
yeah,
The thing is, he can only get you so far, and when you already have the guy who you know is going to be the franchise, who's already pretty close to what Andy Dalton is now, you might as
oh my
well
God,
just
yeah,
pull the trigger and give him that and give the
yeah.
rookie the NFL experience he needs to grow, because it's make or break, man. Like at some
It
point,
really is.
Fields
Yeah,
got to play, and he's got to get used to these NFL defenses too.
yeah. And to put like a little bit more context on the whole Andy Dalton situation, like everybody knew, okay, Mitch, he's moving on. Like Bears moving on, and what? And then the rumors come out, like, oh, we're gonna trade for Deshaun Watson. Everyone loses their goddamn mind. Like, yes, let's get a real quarterback in here. And then he has his sexual allegations, so they could cool down. And then it's like, okay, the Bears are trying to trade for Russell Wilson, and everyone really lost their mind. Like, if you didn't lose your
Yeah,
mind
that
over
was
Deshaun
that was a
Watson,
great
literally
week,
the whole
wasn't
city
it?
was ready to go. And then obviously, like, we didn't have, obviously, like, that was probably like tactics to get a better contract with for Russell Wilson to for them to build a team around him instead of like quick lollygagging or he'll leave. So that was negotiations on his agent's part, I'm sure. But everyone was losing their mind, and then so you go from Deshaun Watson to Russell Wilson to Andy Dalton all the way on the floor. Like what a fucking tease. Like, we got hell. Like shit. And then they start giving like $10 million. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. That's it.
Yeah,
So
that was.
that was a
Yeah,
rough week, rough 2 weeks, and then
I
we
bet.
went and traded up for Justin Fields. So I believe the guy he's put in the work. Ideally, he starts week 1, but if he doesn't, I'll still be Sunday. My whole week in the fall will be determined every Sunday on how the Bears do. Whether I'll have a good week or it takes me a whole like 4 days to recover from Sunday with my attitude and my emotional state. But we'll see come football season.
Jesus. Well,
My
I mean,
emotional, my ups and downs go back on Sundays with the Bears. Yeah.
well, I do. Well, in that case, I do hope the Cubs do go on a run there, so you're at least distracted for a little bit. Damn.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I think we pretty much exhausted the Bears for now.
Oh
Right
no,
now, yeah.
there's the whole
Oh,
leaving Soldier Field situation. There's the
oh,
a
that's
bunch of other situations.
next
There's the
week. Next
Allen
week. That's
Robinson situation. It's
trust me.
the Bears have had the craziest offseason probably in their history.
I remember
But
I was
it's
in
just
Chicago when I got the notification about the Bears and Soldier Field. I was like,
yeah,
"What? Why you're not gonna?"
it's
And I was like staying in a hotel right by Soldier Field, and I was like, "What?
I know, right?
Look. The whole toilet bowl thing around it. I know it's not pretty, right?
Oh
But at
no,
the
it looks like it's like a random spaceship landed
yeah,
randomly.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
weird as hell.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But the structure, like the old structure, the old Soldier Field, that's historic NFL. That,
yeah.
you don't get rid of Lambeau Field, you don't get rid of Soldier Field, like you don't do those type of things. Come
No,
on.
yeah. I'd rather the
Uh,
Bears move back to Wrigley Field than leave Soldier than go to
you
Arlington Heights.
Oh yeah, you would love that. Just working
Oh,
doubles all
I would,
day,
yeah,
triples all
yeah. I
day.
would.
Like,
Oh my God, I would love that. That would just be my dream life. Now that you think about it, I didn't think I would just like, yeah. But yeah, no, you said next week. Oh, that's a little tease for next week, I guess. Then.
yeah, because we could talk about that whole situation, because that's like goes back to
Yeah.
like we were talking about like corrupt ownership and stuff like that. But let's move on to something that is just as corrupt,
Oh my God.
but it also has to do with Chicago, so it fits, right? Let's
It
talk.
totally. Yeah.
Oh man, we love Ben Zobrist. So
Great player.
Chicago Cubs legend, and after this story, hero to I believe men everywhere. Ben Zobrist, who retired after 14 years from the Major League Base from the Major League. I'm gonna restart that. I messed up that whole thing. Chicago Cubs legend and after this story, hero to men everywhere, Ben Zobrist, who retired after a 14-year career in baseball, learned that his wife was having an affair with their pastor, and according to court documents that surfaced last week, the same pastor was accused of defrauding Zobrist's charity of apparently hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 40-year-old ex-infielder seeks $6 million in damages from Byron Yon, who is the pastor. He also is seeking money from the pastor for damages, for defrauding him, and, sleeping with his wife. But Zobrist is a two-time World Series winner. Like I said, Chicago Cubs legend, MVP with the Cubs for that World Series. Like he brought that city the championship essentially. So Ethan, so not only did this guy defraud Zobrist's charity, not only did he make him question his faith in the Lord, but he also slept with his wife. What do you make of all this?
Zobrist is a saint, man. Like he's a serious Christian. He loves his faith. He has a bunch of kids. I'm getting my confused. He's a great guy. There's so many stories of him just being a sweetheart around the stadium, around the Cubs. He's a humble guy. He would ride his bike home and to and from home to the stadium every day, Wrigley Field. There's Ben Zobrist on his bike, like fucking World Series MVP, just casually on the bike ride. Like the guy's so humble. He's such a nice guy. He's always got a smile on his face. He was such a big part of not only the World Series win, but when he was with the Cubs, like he was always reliable. And you just breaks your heart. Like, wow, like his wife, who is supposedly like a Christian rock genre, she's supposed to be a good Christian, like went and swept with the pastor of all people. Like, not only that, like he's their counselor. He was their marriage counselor. Like,
right.
He was, and apparently, like he's like, okay, you should give her some space. Like that's what he would advise Zobrist. I'm like, yeah, so I could go sleep her on the side. Like, come on, dude, get out of here. Like,
disgusting.
How do you gotta do that? Yeah, it's awful. Like literally, you're scum of the earth. Those two.
Yeah.
Like, and I know they were when these allegations. When the rumors first started to come out. I want to say it might have been 2019. If I remember correctly, Zobrist, he took the whole beginning of the year off. He didn't come back till maybe August or late July because he was just trying to. He didn't want to be at the stadium because they broke his heart. Like, and there's a lot of rumors like, oh, she slept with a bandmate. She slept with an ex so. I did hear that like, oh, she didn't sleep with the pastor. I was like, holy shit! Like all of those, like the fact that she was just sleeping around. Hang on, there's no noise. The fact that she was sleeping around, it's like, come on, like. I guess really nice guys, they just can't get a win. Zobrist is the definition of a nice guy. And
man, that is it. See, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
The fact that it happened to such a nice guy, obviously, and like, look. I'm not gonna. We don't know everything about their marriage or whatever, but like the optics of this are just.
Oh my god, yeah.
Shit.
They always
bad.
look happy. They have like, I think the two of them for Halloween, him and his wife, and like at least his 3 kids. They all dress up as Power Rangers. Everyone's happy. They look like a perfect couple that actually want to be together, like because they love each other. And then she's off doing who knows what, like on tour, like or with the pastor too. Yeah. So
man.
And then there was like some hope when he came back. Everyone was like, wait, okay, what song is he gonna play? Because his walk-up song was always one of her songs, Juliana, and I think that year it was like kind of a shitty version of Benny and the Jets. So literally, it's just like. The walk up is like her just screaming, Benny. And then he comes back and everyone's like, all right, what song is he gonna play? What song is he gonna play? And it's Benny and the Jets. I'm like, oh, maybe they work things out. Maybe the rumors are wrong. Maybe,
I love how I love how you can tell like his relationship status by his walk up song like that.
Right? All these. Oh, trust me. Like I love Chicago, but one thing we are not good when it comes to rumors. We will like go to town on all the rumors. Like. Just so maybe everyone's thinking, oh, maybe they worked it out, whatever. Maybe he's just being the better man, showing like being the better person. And then, the truth comes out a few years later. It's like, all right, cool. Yep. No, she's a bitch. The passer, fucking a passer. How are you gonna like? What kind of?
How are you?
This
is like, dude. It's just the mistrust that's there. Like church will never be the same again. Church will never be the same.
And the church, all the Christian churches, they've been struggling. And like, geez, yeah, you're really congrats. You really made a
Good,
big
like,
impression for the new kids to stay in church. Like, oh yeah.
yeah, man,
Christ.
that's crazy. Let's get to our final official segment of the day, and that is one of this Clippers Suns fight. Have you seen this, Ethan? It's
I've
kind of
not seen this one.
this is just wild, man. It's wild. So I'm gonna put it up on the screen in just a second, but Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals got off to a very rocky start as we saw another big fan fight. Let's go. Oh, and he slips.
Oh, he
He
slipped.
slipped.
What
Ate
an
shit
embarrassment.
at the end of the embarrassed. An embarrassment not only to Clipper Nation but the entire state of California. This was not great. Dude, but like this is like so I've covered a lot of these fan fights over the past few weeks. I saw there's two at a baseball game, there's a big one with the Suns game, there was another one at another basketball game. Like, dude, what is wrong with fans? Why are they so out of
Dude,
control right now? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just like we said earlier. Like everyone's just happy to be outside. We forgot our manners. God forbid we actually enjoy the game and have some sportsmanship. I don't know if you've seen this at the guaranteed rate. Sox fans, they've been getting after it too. Like I don't know if they're fighting each other or fighting other fans, but all I know is like at least at guaranteed rate park where the Sox play, like they've had like I think they slowed down because they actually like okay, let's actually try. But Sox fans have been crazy. And then this is the playoffs. It's serious. Like everyone's on tension, so I understand. Like, but Jesus Christ, he really.
It's just
He
dude,
really he was reaching too. He was reaching. That wasn't even close.
there was already you knew there was a Suns fan behind you. Like this is just
like,
this is
come on,
just
dude.
this is just dumb. This is just dumb. Like
Yeah,
it's two of you against this huge. Look at this. Look how big this crowd of
seriously.
like of and
It's a sea of Suns fans, man.
and then that end where the kid just ate shit. That's
Dude,
just
you just gotta let the guy talk. Like I was in Cleveland when the Cubs won the World Series wearing my Chris Bryant jersey. Like I tuned everybody out. I found a couple of other Cubs fans who just like, okay, we're gonna, let's not. Hopefully, we don't die here in this. And then I heard all the nonsense. Like Cleveland fans, they were merciless. Like I'm pretty sure a few of them wanted to throw a few hands after a couple of those losses, especially after Game 7. But like. I remembered my manners. I also didn't want to get punched in the face. I was trying to celebrate, but these Clippers fans, it's not. What are you gonna do? Are you trying to will your team to victory by fighting the other fans? This isn't England where like you can do hooligan shit. It's like you're just embarrassing yourself. Like, holy fuck.
yeah. It's just
especially like after the last series when you got the Suns and 4 guy or 4, Suns and 4. Come on. You should have known better. Like, what are you trying to be better than this guy? Like, come on.
Nah,
you should have known what you were getting to.
Well, I mean, obviously they just didn't. So
clearly,
what it is.
they're a Clippers fan, so either they're a fair weather fan or they're really stupid for not picking the Lakers. So, I guess there you go for that's why you got to fight there.
Yeah, well, they're not going to be fans for long because the Clippers are about to get eliminated by the Suns. But man, it's
Suns and 4, baby.
Something's got to happen. Something's got to happen. Someone needs to come in and be like, "Hey, fans, like, chill, just chill."
Yeah,
it's like
come on, guys.
Let's not.
Do we need
ruin
to
a
go in
good
another
thing.
lockdown? Like, did Arizona get a lockdown? Like, fuck. Like, we might just lock them down. Like, go sit in timeout. Like, holy shit, people.
Yeah.
They're just big children that like someone let a drink because they seem like adults. Yeah. We just got a bunch of big children running around.
Ethan, you got any final thoughts today? It's been really good having you on, man. This is a fun combo.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, thanks. I try. Hey, it's everyone's like we said, everyone's happy to be outside. I'm happy to be outside after at least 12 months inside. Sports world is pretty crazy. Chicago's everyone, the Blackhawks, the Bulls, they're having pretty crazy off seasons too. Cubs and White Sox, I think everyone is hoping for a Red Line World Series between the Cubs and Sox. The city will burn, but the whole sports world is just having fun. You got the European Soccer Championship. That I've been watching that. You got NHL, NBA playoffs. That's having fun. Baseball is pretty fun, even though they got the pitcher situation, with all the stickies hands. So I'm gonna say go watch a game, guys. Go to a game. Go buy some tickets. Support your local sports team. And just have fun and enjoy it. Be peaceful. Have some sportsmanship. Don't get in a fight. It's not worth it. It's not being on a blast it all over the internet. And that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and also be sure to support your local YouTube channel. Support Real Take
Yeah,
Sports
there
Talk.
it is.
Support Real Take Sports Talk. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Hit your boy Ethan up over here on Twitter. Right there, you can see it. Lord of Thunder 31. Again, at Lord of Thunder 31. I'm sure he's got some awesome takes.
It's me just like ranting about all the sports, all the Chicago sports.
Which we
So
love. We
that's
love
there it is. Yeah.
the barstool diplomacy right there. We love that. Anyway, Ethan, good having you on, my guy.
It's great to be on. Good to
Yeah,
see you too.
yeah, good to see you too. We'll have you on again and again. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time. Real Dig Sports Talk.